Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. Today we have an expansion announcement. The Boomsday Project is coming. Get this, we actually got the release date this time. First time ever, right? August 7th. Not even that far away. It's coming up, and Dr. Boom's basically the main deal in this expansion, and with him comes what you can expect with mechs, with random effects, with crazy powerful things, and well, I think they have some pretty cool things on the way, especially for those that haven't been with Hearthstone since Goblin vs. Gnomes. Really, that was the expansion that introduced a lot of the things thematically that we can expect to see in this expansion. We got a few cards, we got a lot of teasers, and in my opinion, we got a lot of good news. It was all in the form of a video that they posted. The link is below for that. And I have to say, without the Brood, they did a really good job this time around in terms of the production quality, in terms of the acting. Yes, they did, double down on the cringe, but they did a good job. All right, so cards, what do we get? What do we get, Krip? Review these cards. Give us some stars. Which are the good ones? All right, so first card they showed in the video is called Spider Bomb, and Spider Bomb is a mech. This is a tribal type we have not seen in a long time. There are a few mechs in the base set with things like Harvest Golem and all that, but fairly rare in the base set and mostly on garbage cards. So we can assume that since they released this card and the new magnetic mechanic works just with other mechs, that we will probably be seeing a lot of mechs in this expansion. A lot more mechs to be revealed after this one, I imagine. This is a hunter card, which probably makes it a bit more interesting, because hunters have the competing archetype of beasts. Mech hunter was not a thing outside of a few tavern brawls, I suppose, so we will see how competitive the mech archetype will be with the beast archetype in the upcoming expansion. Now, the magnetic mechanic is one we can expect to see on other cards because it's kind of like a keyworded mechanic, and basically this keyword attaches this card, its stats, and its effect to another mech. So if you do have said Harvest Golem in play and you're playing the Spider Bomb can attach itself to the Harvest Golem, and the Harvest Golem will be a 4/5 with a new additional Death Rattle effect. And presumably it can still attack right away, which is why you would want to do that. So a card like Spider Bomb played standalone is decent, but it's not particularly good because in this day and age, playing lots and lots and lots of small minions is very easy. So even though your opponent might have something you want to remove, because the powerful effect is a death rattle, the Spider Bomb card standalone doesn't work very well because, well, your opponent is going to choose largely where it's going to go, and it's not going to go in a good place. That's where the mechanic comes in with the magnetic. All right, you put it on a minion and you get to dictate the trades, and in doing so, hopefully you can target that death rattle and possibly remove the random element from it, creating a pretty powerful effect. And I would say in general the magnetic mechanic is very interesting, certainly welcome in terms of synergy, as long as there are sufficient mechs, and probably there will be. And also, hopefully, they're all generally well balanced. I hope we will have some decision making between the mechs rather than just the mech package that's auto-include in every deck. But for that, we'll have to see. We have a new Druid card, just kind of out of the blue. They mentioned that there will be a new type of spell that benefits both players. Now, there's still those kind of cards, and this is very similar to one of the Taverns of Time arena cards that Druid actually had. That gave 2 mana crystals and 2 cards to both players. This just gives 2 mana crystals. I can tell you from the arena environment, that card was total garbage. Now, this card, while it is very similar, I'm sure it's just as awful for Arena, but for Constructed, the same rules don't apply. Constructed is a very different type of game where Druids, certainly of all classes, can get really out of control once they hit specific mana levels. For instance, if you can get the 10 mana, you get your UI, you get the 6 mana, you get to burst a bunch of taunts, and honestly, this card might work out just fine, specifically in that stall combo-y type of Druid Shell that we see both in Wild and in Standard. Certainly doesn't look like much, but there is a reason to be optimistic about this card because it is a very powerful effect. And often enough when you're playing against an aggro deck, specifically in the mid-range, giving them 2 mana crystals doesn't mean anything for them, but giving yourself 2 mana crystals can mean a lot. Next up, we have a new type of card that is kind of like the Omega card, as they put it. At a base, it is just kind of a decent card. This is a neutral Omega Defender, 4 mana, 2/6 taunt. Is that good? Yeah, it's not bad. That stat line certainly makes it decent for Arena, and most of the decent taunts from Arena actually see some constructed play. Even though they look pretty lackluster, taunts are really good to play against aggro decks. Who knew? So is it good enough for constructed? Yeah, it could be. It could be good enough for constructed. The Omega effect, as they said, will belong to other cards as well, is a 10 mana crystal requirement. And it has a large bonus effect. So Battlecry, if you have 10 mana crystals, gain plus 10 attack. Wow. So this card is just absolutely insane once you reach that critical mana crystal count, making the Druid card we just saw potentially a lot better. For constructed, since I think it's a card you can play by itself, cards like this one, if the other Omega cards are going to be on a similar power level, oh man, are they going to be good. This card is so good. But, constructed shifts around. It might be that combo decks dominate the meta, so control is just not there, or requires specific other cards. Now, this is not a guarantee for constructed viability, but the power level of this card, the power level is just ridiculously high. So that's kind of objective here. And with that, I think we need to talk about the Arena implications of these cards. Arena is always a challenge when drafting to get a decent amount of early game cards and a decent amount of late game cards. Cards like these, I think, are actually pretty disruptive to that mechanic, and I think are actually fundamentally bad for Arena because they're just too good. In Arena, a 4 mana 2/6 taunt is great, and in Arena, a 12/6 taunt is just completely outrageous with the requirement of just waiting, which honestly in Arena you can almost always do. So depending on how many Omega cards there are, depending on how swingy, this one's totally nuts. If the other Omega cards are on this power level, Arena will be completely different as a result of these cards existing. So that's certainly something to watch out for. Next up, they just gave a bit of a teaser for one of the class legendary cards. It is the Shaman card. It is the Electra Stormsurge. Pretty good card, I'd say. It's a 3 mana 3/3 elemental, and the battle cry is your next spell this turn casts twice. So the implications of this card are really insane. It's very difficult to really analyze every aspect of it, specifically because we're sure to see some more spells in the upcoming expansion. We're also sure to see some interesting type of spells, which we'll go into after this card here. But just off the top of my head, you can imagine how good a double Bloodlust could be. You can imagine how good some of the powerful overload spells, just spawning like, Frost Wolves or something like that, could potentially be. Like, it's a 3 mana 3/3 elemental. This is not a card with a heavy upfront cost. You could just play this on turn 3 and just have it be a 3 mana 3/3, and a lot of the time that will be good enough. In terms of combo potential, I can imagine on 10 mana crystals playing this, a Thalnos, maybe double Lightning Bolt for 4 apiece, and a Lava Burst to get the double effect for double 6. So you can do fairly simply with the cards we currently have in the game consistently enough 20 damage spell burst with 10 mana. And that's very strong. But again, who knows what the next expansion will bring? Maybe Armored Druids are still around. Maybe Control Warriors are still around. So maybe that doesn't do anything. We obviously have to see a lot more of the cards from the expansion that really get a grasp of how good and how useful these cards will be. Next up is just a bit of a teaser, kind of like they did in the Witchwood. We get to see that there is a warrior legendary card that doesn't quite look like a normal legendary minion because it's not. This is well, we call them Death Knight, but this is a hero card. So we're going to get a new warrior hero card. Now, are all the other classes getting hero cards? I would say probably not, because we just saw the Shaman legendary, and the next legendary will clue us into the new legendary type of mechanic from the upcoming expansion, and it is legendary spells. This is Myra's Unstable Element. Pretty nice rogue card. 5 mana, draw the rest of your deck. How about that? How useful will that be? Who knows? This is just completely batshit crazy powerful with a massive downside. So I love it. You know why I love it so much? Well, because I kind of came up with this card like 3 years ago. See, that's yours truly from Greece, man. This is 3 years plus ago. And yeah, I did think it is a pretty cool idea to draw essentially the rest of your deck. Now, this is a bit more of an elegant card with the one that's coming up, but regardless, it's very much the same effect. So we have one legendary spell. They said this is basically the first time we see legendary spells in Hearthstone. They said that because, well, the quests are also spells and they were also legendary, but they were quests. Well, sure. But these are spells. These are non-quest spells that we're getting. And if Rogue is getting one, we can surely assume that this is the new legendary mechanic, that all the other classes are going to be getting one, which leads me to the conclusion that the warrior hero card is probably a one of, because it's probably just a legendary spell for every class, and another legendary minion/hero for the other classes. And again, the idea of there being legendary spells certainly makes the Shaman cast the next spell twice card potentially more powerful. I have no idea what the legendary Shaman spell are, just as much as I have no idea what the other Shaman spells will be. We will have to see. Pretty exciting stuff, though, I think. In terms of a hype level, we're pretty close to a 10 here. And just to top it off, we learned the pre-purchase bundles. There's still going to be like the 50 for 50. But the key thing I find here that's kind of nice, if you get the extra bundle, so you can get a 50 for 50, or you can get an 80 card pack bundle. And if you get the 80 card pack bundle, you get not only a Mecha Jiraxxus card back, but you get a new Warlock hero, Mecha Jiraxxus. Wow. I mean, that is going to put Nemsy to absolute shame. A lot of this fluff stuff often, gets a bit overlooked because it's kind of crap. But honestly, Mecha Jiraxxus Warlock, that's a way to sell pre-orders, all right? Let me know what you think. Hope you guys enjoy the expansion and the hype and the videos to come. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.